Have you ever begun to enter a public restroom only to find you were opening the wrong door and felt embarrassed? Or opened a piece of mail only to discover that it wasn't addressed to you? I suppose that all of us have opened some things by mistake. But I once heard it said that nothing is opened more times by mistake than the mouth. I have a fair bit of experience with that, but I suppose you have a fair bit of experience with that too. The Bible tells us we all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man or woman, able to keep his whole body in check. James writes that in chapter 3, verse 2. So we're all in the same boat. All of us struggle with that tiny part of our body called the tongue. If only we could erase the hurtful words, but once spoken, they fly like darts into the hearts of those at whom they were aimed, and they become recorded in the memory of an offended person, perhaps a loved one, and his or her mind seems to have no button for delete. Instead, the save button has automatically, subconsciously been pressed, and a relationship may have been seriously damaged. Since no man can tame the tongue, according to James chapter 3, verse 8, it's a wise thing to rely on the Holy Spirit for help. Several of the characteristics the Holy Spirit produces in a believer's life are kindness, gentleness, and self-control. You can read about that in Galatians chapter 5. However, these things don't appear instantly, but grow and develop like fruit. It is an added helpful thing, then, to sometimes humbly admit voicing wrongful words and ask the person that we have hurt for forgiveness. Over the past 47 years, I've sometimes said to my wife, more often than I care to admit, I'm sorry for speaking to you harshly, or I'm sorry for being rude to you. Would you forgive me? This has kept communication lines open and love flowing because she's always said yes, and I'm so grateful for that. At times, she has also asked me to forgive her for angry or hurtful words spoken, and I've appreciated that and loved her for it. Regarding this kind of confession and forgiveness, Jesus said to his followers, even if someone wrongs you 7 times a day, and each time turns in again and asks for forgiveness, forgive him. That's Luke 17, verse 4. But Jesus also taught us in conjunction with the Lord's Prayer just to forgive. Even if no one asks for forgiveness, forgive others. Following Jesus' instruction is the closest thing to pressing the delete key on our computers, about which we all wish others would do with our words sometimes. It's not a matter of if we open our mouth by mistake, but when. And when we do, are we willing to admit it? Are we willing to confess a wrong attitude? Are we willing to ask for forgiveness? It'll make a big difference as to how the time we opened our mouth by mistake will be remembered.